Hey, on my Travel Wins podcast today is Asia Hall, the CEO, founder of Neon Cowboys. How are you doing today, Asia?
Hi, Pete. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Hey, give me, if you can, give our listeners a little background of Neon Cowboys, how it came about, and kind of your background.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I guess to start, Neon Cowboys, I really started back in like 2014 and kind of just had really a vision when I went to one of the country festivals out in California and I saw the whole crowd, kind of wearing a similar outfit where it'd be like Daisy Dukes and, a really cute crop top and like their favorite boots. And the guys would be wearing, Levi's or whatever with a belt buckle. And so I wanted something that kind of would give me like an identity in terms of like Americana apparel as well, but I didn't really feel like I could just wear anything. Like I felt like I would look too much of a sore thumb in a situation where it's like, okay, she doesn't like, she's a poser, I guess is more of the word that I'm looking for. I didn't want to pretend like I could claim that was like necessarily my culture or history that I grew up with. So I needed something that kind of gave me more of like an Americana identity. And then I also realized that in country music culture, like neon signs are synonymous for finding a bar and drinking and like having a great time and making memories. And so I figured if you were to look at a neon sign with a cowboy hat in it, like if you're looking at Coors Light or Bud Light or something like that, then you should be able to physically pick up that hat and wear it.
Right.
And then also too at the country festival, like when it's dark, there isn't a lot of lights going on as opposed to like another concert or, even more of like a rave scene, which I'm not really too familiar with either, but
Yeah.
Just more interactive like light shows. And so I wanted something that would kind of give the audience something to like party to. And honestly, it was like, I think Florida Georgia Line was like the headliner. Like it was that kind of crowd in California. Yeah. So I was like, they need something that is a little bit more modern and a little bit more like LA for this scene. So that's how it started to answer that question.
4 years later.
4 years later. So we just, we've been working on it ever since. And it took me another year though, when I originally had the vision to actually start executing on like building the company. I really was just kind of like, okay, well, I don't really know how to make anything.
You do now.
I do now. I do now.
In a good way.
In a great way. It's good. It's really good. It's just a lot of work.
Well, with when you started the manufacturing, because I know originally they were manufactured in the United States,
mm-hmm.
and you've had to explore the overseas channels.
Mm-hmm.
How was it? Like, I know you've done quite a bit of traveling for Neon Cowboys. How has it been getting used to traveling overseas and all that?
Yeah.
Instead of on vacation mode, you're literally on work mode.
Yeah, that's interesting. Traveling for work is really interesting. I really enjoy it because for one thing, I don't make a disposable income where I can necessarily do a holiday every year.
Yeah.
And so by choosing something or going somewhere that I know is going to like benefit or further the company, like it just helps you like kind of appreciate it a little bit more. Like it's not like you're there for a limited amount of time and you're like, okay, I have to work for this period, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think it's been more difficult being a younger person traveling, or do people, when you went over to China, did they treat you just as a complete peer?
No, I mean, yes, as a peer for sure, but it is definitely different as a young person, just because there isn't a ton of tourism in the areas of China that we
the factories
work at, where the factories are. So when we went, and I've been to China before, like I'm half Chinese, so I took my mom a year before I went for business. And so that was a holiday trip. So actually, I guess I could compare the two.
Right.
But when we went, it was like we were definitely the youngest people, and everyone was kind of shocked that we were there for business and not necessarily for school.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was asking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with my gray hairs, I get to go and they treat me just fine.
I have gray hairs too. Business is very hard.
Well, welcome to ownership.
Yeah, exactly. It's like rite of passage kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's just been, yeah. So China was like really, really cool because also too, there's not a lot of like African Americans that travel just because of, you know, history, right? So like there are a lot of Africans that travel, they have history, and a lot of them have like, you know, come from wealth, and they go usually north just for vacations. But a lot of African Americans don't yet, not necessarily to like a place like China. So when you're there, it is very interesting. Like, you know, you just get a different treatment altogether because they've never really experienced you.
Yeah.
Germany was like that too. I went to Germany at 16. So the feeling for me is pretty normal, but probably not normal to others.
Well, you were fortunate enough to travel quite a bit.
Yeah.
Younger, and you know, it's kind of like me. You know, growing up in California, we're a diverse state in a diverse country comparative to other even countries.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. California is really unique in that way.
Yeah.
I mean, even here, I mean, we're in Florida now, and it's not as diverse.
Oh, I know. I mean, you know, on my travels, you know, my daughters are half Filipino.
Yeah.
So when I went to southern Indiana for work, they're like, "Oh, how was it?" I go, "It's beautiful." I go, "It's literally. I mean, it was 97% Caucasian there." So, and it was like, it's just, and coming from California, it's something I don't think about.
Right.
Until you go there and you're like, oh, okay. What's that balance?
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see the economy of the country and how different.
Right. I agree. Yeah. And especially growing up in Los Angeles, it definitely is different. I mean, even just like, I went to an elementary school where like they made a point to have like LGBTQ teachers. You know what I mean? Like that's not something that most of the country does at all. So
my daughter's high school have a club.
Yeah.
So it's no big deal.
Yeah. So it just depends.
That's the part I've enjoyed about traveling though, and seeing all the different areas.
Right. Well, I think too, like it was interesting when we decided to move to Florida. There was a few friends from LA that had moved, you know, a lot of people moved to LA.
Yeah.
Because for various reasons, but one of my friends specifically said, you know, like, why would you want to move to Florida? Like you'll literally be in the South. Like, what is that going to really be like for you? And so it's interesting, even just hearing, you know, people from LA also not shift necessarily. And for me, because I've traveled at a young age and have usually been the odd one out, I was like, well, that would never necessarily hinder me from moving somewhere, because if we don't go to those places, then nothing will ever change.
Yeah.
And like the conversation will never actually be had. It's interesting. So yeah.
Pretty cool though.
Where it's fun.
Travel?
Where else have I traveled?
Yeah, for work.
Oh, for work. For work. Oh yeah. So I did a festival tour, like I think year 2, or the first year that the hats were done.
Right.
And we had something to sell. I did a festival tour by myself. And I drove a truck from Florida, to Dallas, and then to Denver, and then to Kentucky, Tennessee, and then back to Florida. I think I did 5 states.
That's crazy.
It was fun. It was crazy. It was crazy. It was one of those things where it's like, you're glad you did it when you were like 22, you know? Like, okay, great. That's checked off and like we experienced that, but I might not ever, I definitely would never do it again alone because it's just very, very taxing.
That's the one thing, like, I don't think that people understand, like, they go, oh, you just drove there and you just did that. And a lot of people, I drive mostly for my work.
Yeah.
And just doing 8 hours in a car and then having to work.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Sleep in a random hotel.
Right.
Wake up, drive again, start all over again.
Yeah.
But you also didn't you head up to New York for the Fashion Week? Or
Yes.
where was that? I know I saw the runway pictures.
Yeah. So, I walked New York Fashion Week last year. So I flew out for that one. That was good. I didn't have to drive. I have driven from Florida to New York too, but that was for vacation. This one was for work. And then this year the hats were featured in London Fashion Week, but I didn't get to travel for that one. Hopefully next year we can
no
do
kidding.
some more. It'd be really fun.
And if you can't go, let me know, and then you can just pay for me to go.
Okay, I'll let you know.
I'll just record everything for you.
Okay, that's all we need, just the content.
Exactly. Talk about the earrings a little bit.
Oh yeah, so these are our new ones. They are LED cactus earrings. Actually, fun story too. Like these, because we were talking about manufacturing a little earlier. I made these when we were in China in April, and they only took about 2 hours to like get done because I had the idea in my head for a long time. But it's like when you're traveling back and forth or you're emailing back and forth, like so many things get lost. And so by taking the trip to go to China and like work directly with our factories, we're able to just like knock out like all the new ideas that we had. And we're all really excited about these because they glow. So they actually like are a twist to glow. I think mine are out of batteries because I've been wearing them every day. But they
no.
And then they also have like a little on and off engraving on here. So like they look more like wearable tech, which is exciting. And we're really excited about them because really they kind of are they basically encompass everything that really was difficult to make about the hats.
Yeah.
Like every pain point I ever had about the hats has been solved with the earrings. And so we're just really excited to be like, okay, well now we can keep, getting better with each new product and not make it so like the learning curve for manufacturing is a conversation.
Why do you think you was it your parents or just and in general the way you grew up? I mean, not a lot of girls in their early 20s go, I'm going to be a manufacturer of a product and bring it out to market. That's very rare. What kind of gave you that mindset?
Yeah, I've always been an entrepreneur, and I kind of hate saying that because I think a lot of entrepreneurs say that, but I think that's more the case than not. I just kind of grew up making stuff. So I'm really kind of more of a maker. Like, I don't know if you know about like maker faire movement and stuff like that, but I've always made jewelry or accessories and have sold them to like friends and family.
Right.
And everyone on my dad's side actually has been an entrepreneur. So there is like a family lineage of that, which is interesting. Like I think like a great grandmother even had like a hat shop at one point. Like it's just very bizarre where it's like, okay, we all are into selling our own stuff. And my parents just always really kind of fostered that in me. They were never like, stop being creative. They were always just like, oh yeah, just make whatever you want and
go make it happen.
Yeah, do it. Like get to work. So that has been very helpful. But I definitely got the bug really early. Like my parents had me do chores for like washing the car for like a quarter at 7.
Yeah.
So it just.
You got paid?
A quarter. Like 25 cents. Took me like 3 years to save up for a GameCube. Like.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm a little older, so it was. Do you want to eat dinner tonight?
Yeah.
So go wash the car.
Yeah.
And then back in the day, I'm talking early 80s. The arcade games were new.
Okay.
And they cost a quarter. So I would literally go to my dad, hey, Pop, can I get some money for the arcade? He'd literally throw me a quarter. I'm like, I was hoping to. He goes, well, how much do the games cost? I go, a quarter. He goes, okay, so I gave you. He goes, you can give me the quarter back.
Right.
I'm
Right.
like, no. He goes, just get better, and then you'll play longer.
Right. I mean, he's right though.
But it's interesting, like what you were saying.
Yeah.
Your parents kind of always fostered the entrepreneurial. Don't worry about it, you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really key hopefully for young people.
Yeah, I think so. I think that, and also, growing up and maybe seeing other people around you or that have also been successful that you can like relate to in some way.
Yeah.
Like I had, obviously my parents are, successful, but also just like my extended family in terms of, just being like African Americans in Hollywood and like being directors, so it's like, because I could see them have some level of success, I always thought that I should at least aim for that. And at a young age, because my dad will also always say like youth is wasted on the young. So that's why my brother and I started our first clothing company called Once Youth. And
how old were you when you started that?
I was 21. I was 20. Evan was 15. And we did it for 4 years before I started this. So that was really where it got like serious, and I started getting like addicted to selling my stuff.
If you only knew.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is really fun, and it was the first year of Instagram, so we were able to really play with like social media and marketing, and do an online website.
Well, one other question I'd like to ask is, being the CEO of your own company, having to travel to China and road trips and all that, how do you balance the work-life balance of friends, family, boyfriend, girlfriends? How difficult do you find it at being, you're probably in your mid-20s when you did that road tour?
Mm-hmm.
How do you balance, tell your boyfriend, hey, I'm going to go on the road for a couple of weeks, see you later?
Yeah, that was hard. Well, actually, he's actually really great about it. He's like, okay, have fun, be safe. And then I just call him and make sure that he knows like what city am I in, like how late am I staying at the festival that night, We're pretty good on communication, so that definitely helps. With friends, it's not as easy. I really don't have time for friends as much as they expect, I would say.
Right.
I feel like when you're trying to make a business scale and grow, it really does demand like all of your attention, which is interesting. Like, and people compare it to a baby, and like that is true, but also not true. So that exists, but that's been harder. I think the friends piece, because you do lose people because they get upset or they just don't. I feel like they maybe get left behind in a way that isn't intentional. It's just, if you don't, and I'm also in another state now. So that's been interesting.
Well, and that's the kind of the sacrifice anybody that travels for work has to deal with.
Right.
I'll be missing my daughter's birthday this year because I'll be at a rodeo working.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, the traveling piece definitely affects it.
And because I know where you kind of came from.
Yeah, you've been around.
Being a one person shop.
Right.
So now you have employees, and now it's growing. But when everything's on you, that's a lot to carry.
It's a lot. Yeah.
And you got to go. I got to go hang out with my friend or my girlfriend's baby shower, or whatever. It's a lot to kind of squeeze and fit in, calendar in.
Right, and I think too, and people are usually, for the most part, like they're just thrilled to see you there. Like they're excited that you were able to make the time and come out. And a lot of times, like my local friends that live in this state, they'll just text me and say like, "Are you in town?" this weekend, so that's helpful. Because also if like, even if I am in town, but I am working on something else, I can just say like, oh, I'm here, but we have a photo shoot this weekend and I can't get out or get away from it or something like that, but I also do want to be working all the time. And I think that that's something that's not talked about as much when we have like the conversation about work-life balance. Like, I want my life to be work.
Right.
So that is interesting. And my partner, like Brandon, my boyfriend, he's the same way, where that he has his dream job as well. So like we really do just work. And I don't know, I think it just needs to be talked about more, because I think a lot of young people have the expectation of like, oh, I can start this and I can also have a normal life. And that I have not experienced that. That's the best way to say it.
But I think normal is whatever, what is a normal life.
Right.
I travel 120 to 140 days a year.
Right.
And it was just an expectation. When I met my wife, that's what I did. So there was no, oh, I didn't know. And I think as long as you set up the boundaries of communication, here's how we do it, and then you try not to deviate from it.
Right. The communication piece is the most important one, probably. It just gets hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, when you have kids too, I don't even know. Like, I don't know how you do that.
Well, that's like, Cowboy Troy, who I had on the show.
Yeah.
He's got triplets.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
So,
that's right.
And he travels about 180 days a year, but he's on the opposite schedule. Like for me, my work is Monday through Friday-ish for the most part. His is Friday through Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Because he does festivals and concerts, right? So
he goes, when I'm home, and then they know I have to go perform and all that.
Right.
I still think it goes down to communication.
Yeah, it does. My biggest problem, just throwing that out there, is like I just have a really hard time charging my phone at all times. Like even today being one. So like when I'm traveling, that's when I get in trouble, right? It's like you cannot be reached, and where are you? Situation.
Yeah.
Like, the communication piece is.
As you see, I'm preparing as we speak, and I finally just got one of these.
Oh, a power bank? Yes.
And it's so crazy because I didn't have a power bank forever.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter, who lives on her power bank as well. So I got one, and then the next week later, a friend gave me one.
Oh.
And then last week I went and upgraded my phone, and it included a power bank with the upgrade.
Okay, so you need to send me one.
Now I have 3.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have one. I bought one recently, but I upgraded my phone, and now I have one of the Google Pixels, but they changed the adapter, so it's been a recent pain point again. Yep, because they don't even sell those chargers at gas stations.
They're not. What is it? Is it micro USB or?
No, it's like a totally different. Oops, it's like a totally different. Yeah, it's like a new thing that they just started.
Oh, that's weird.
So it's been.
Well, it's just like when iPhones switch over to the Lightning.
Same thing. Yeah.
I'm like, hold on, I had all the other ones. Now
you gotta buy all of them.
Yeah.
That's the point. You need to have all of them so that they can,
make more money.
Make more money, which I can't blame them because.
As a manufacturer of products.
Yeah, like tech is tech. Yep. Kind of have to, bite the bullet on those.
What do you think do you use any apps or anything when you travel? Do you download podcasts? Do you watch movies? What do you do to kind of fill your time technology-wise when you travel?
I listen to a lot of music.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah, like I use Spotify, which I love.
Okay.
Like really, really addicted to. Because they have even like their Discover Weekly playlist curates a playlist for you every Monday, and that for me is super fun. I also do podcast. No, not really podcasts, audiobooks more so.
Right.
Right now I'm listening to Shoe Dog, which is the memoir of the Nike founder, creator.
Phil Knight, yeah.
So that's been really good. I've done, and it's funny because I actually bought the book for the plane ride to Forbes because I went to Boston recently, which also was for work. And then when I got home, I was like, I have no time to read this. So then I bought it on audiobook. And like, I've just been listening to it since. But I did buy a physical book for the plane because I think that makes sense. And then I also upgraded my phone to the Google phone. So that when I go to China, I can buy those, the earbuds that actually do translate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have these new ones now. I don't know how good they work yet because I don't have it yet. But what I hear is that they're incredible because they're earbuds and then they can, like, someone can speak to you in another language and you can hear English.
Yeah, I've seen them. I've seen the videos or whatever, but I haven't.
Okay.
With them.
Yeah, so that's on my Christmas list because I need that. And then we have like Google Translate on my app or on my phone too. But those are like the more essential ones that I have to have. Instagram also. I'm really big on Instagram. I'm really big on doing stories every day.
You're big on dancing on Instagram to Shaka Khan.
I know, it's true. Yes, I am. I like to have fun. Yeah. Just, I'm very much a millennial, but it's weird. I'm on the older end of it, but I guess maybe not because people older than me also say they're millennials. But I'm a 90s baby.
Like I'm Gen X, but I'm on the borderline of baby boomer, I guess, or I don't know. I mean, who cares?
Who cares? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so close.
Who cares? Because what's the next one gonna be?
I think
what's after millennials? What?
Is Gen Z, is it not?
Is that what they're calling it?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, see.
I don't know. These are all marketing like seminars and I'm like just like I honestly
I've gotta stay up on that.
That's what they tell me. It's called Gen Z. And these are like the younger YouTube kids, but I don't know.
I like Gen X because Generation X was a Billy Idol's band back in the day, back when he was in England.
Okay.
I had no problem with being called the Gen X. I'm like, I don't know with that.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I like millennial because I remember like New Year's 2000 party was really like crazy. It's like, oh man, we made it. And I was like 10 years old. So yeah, millennial works for me, even though it kind of has a bad stigma right now, but whatever.
You can be whatever you want.
Yeah, agreed.
Exactly. So what's the best way for people to kind of find you and find Neon Cowboys?
Yeah, so Instagram is our best platform by far just because the brand grew there. At Neon Cowboys with an S would be our Instagram handle. And then if you're looking for me specifically, my Instagram is just at Asia with a period Hall. I like to say dot, but it doesn't really translate as well.
Yeah.
Because people are like, yeah, okay. Yeah, so that's where you can find us. And then our website is just neoncowboys.com if you're like looking to see the products and buy hats.
And what about tutus?
And tutus, yes, we have the new tutus now, and the earrings will be here on Monday, which is super exciting. And then we also have some like newer pieces that are coming out next year, including light up chaps.
What about the holster's available now too, right? Nope.
Yeah, the holster's available now, and those are super fun because they're party holsters, so they're mostly for beer, but they can hold any cup or bottle. Right. And then the back of them also holds your like credit cards and stuff if you wanted to not bring a purse out partying, or if you wanted to, put a stash can and bring money in it or something. Yeah.
So you're all set. You got a full line of products.
Yes, as of like a month ago.
Well, yeah, but a month ago with 2 years in the planning.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, like the trip, and that's the thing, right? Like traveling for work is super important because if I didn't take that trip to China, then it would take probably 3 years for most of the products to like come to fruition. So.
And I remember when you came back from that, for one, I thought it seemed like you were just more inspired because you'd experienced the manufacturing end of it. So it seemed like a very worthwhile trip.
It was incredible. I mean, especially just because I mean, being the young person in the room for like a manufacturing convention on that scale is crazy. You're just like, wow,
Yeah.
In theory, I've got a lot of years to like get this down right. And I can kind of see where people who have been doing this for years are at. And I like to make stuff. So like, I was like, oh, this is all I've wanted to do with my life. And I just didn't know it because why would I? It's not like we have those here necessarily because we don't do a ton of manufacturing here in the States anymore.
I think it'll be interesting to watch you grow, because I remember being the young one in the group.
Yeah.
Like I remember, I think I was 29, and I was a general manager of a cabinet company. And when I'd go to the GM meetings, I was 10, 15, 20 years younger than any of the other general managers.
Right.
And now I'm on the other spectrum.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting to it seems like you've kind of figured it out, but you're not being discounted as much as you think you are. You know what I mean? By your age. Because I remember being, 28, 29 and going, oh, I'm not getting the respect because of, they know how young I am. But now being on the other end of it, going, if you put up the work, it doesn't matter how old you are.
That's very, very, very true.
And if you don't use the age as an excuse why you're not doing it, then it won't be held against you.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I didn't realize that until I got in my fit, because I started looking at it, and my daughter turns 25 in 3 weeks. And I started going, God, when I was 26, I had my daughter, I was working full time, had all that going, and yet I thought people weren't giving me the respect because they thought I was young. But it was just I wasn't that good yet.
Experience is a big key point. Yeah. And also too, when you are young, like know that you don't have experience, right? Like don't, like don't walk in there being like, I know everything. Like then they definitely will not like you. But if you work hard and you are listening, listening to learn, like you'll be fine as long as you just start. Starting's the piece.
Humility is a good thing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think when you're younger, instead of coming in all, I know, it's like,
Yeah. No, I totally know. Especially with the social media situation now, like it will be interesting.
Yeah. Because like even my daughters still remember not having a cell phone. I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here.
But the people that are in high school now will never know a life without a phone.
Right.
So it's, and I remember before cell phones even existed. So much less going to the brick phones that were attached to the car and then, paying $3 a minute for a conversation.
Like a payphone?
No, on a cell phone.
Oh, okay.
No, I remember when my dad got his probably mid to late 80s, he got a cell phone and it was attached to the car battery. It wasn't this big; it was the big brick phone. And I remember him saying, "Don't you ever touch it." I'm like, what do you mean?
It's expensive.
It was like I think it was like $3 or $3.50 a minute for a phone call.
Yeah.
So my dad's like, unless you have $30 for your 10-minute phone call to your friend, don't touch my phone.
Right.
Now you look at it, it's unlimited phone. You can Skype, you can video conference. I did a video conference with my daughter when she was in London for a film school. So I could stay in touch with my daughter face to face on our phones for free, as long as we were on Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So I love the technology part of it.
Oh, I do too. I'm very excited about it. I mean, I have a computer science degree, so I'm like, what else is coming?
Yeah, exactly.
What else can we build?
Well, just look. I mean, you got the earbuds in your ear. You got neon battery earrings on. You don't have the tutu on, but I mean, you look
right now. It's true. I mean, one day, I will probably be walking around with like 15 batteries on me, and you'll never know it.
Yeah. Well, and then I know there's fabric that changes colors and
Yeah.
other things that are going on.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Like this. Yeah.
who knows where we'll end up. So people can reach you at neoncowboys.com, Neon Cowboys on Instagram, Asia.hall, period hall.
Yep. Either way.
And
Yeah. I don't know why period sounds so weird, but it does. Asia.hall.
I like that, Asia.hall. That works.
Okay. Cool.
So appreciate the time, and hopefully we'll stay in touch, obviously. And then have a great holidays.
Awesome. Thank you, Pete, for having me. I'm super excited for this. And you too. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Perfect. Thanks, Asia. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.